Welcome to the DevReady Podcast, where we're helping non-techs build better tech. Today we're joined by David Pillinger. He's the CEO of VCEX, but also of Safesoft. David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for inviting me along today, Andrew and Anthony. I'm really, chuffed to be here.
Yeah,
really have you on board.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I'm really excited to hear a bit more about your journey thus far and where you sort of headed to. So, David, just a bit of a background as to who you are for our listeners to get a bit of a grip on who's actually behind the mic.
Okay, well, I was born in the Ramble. I won't go that far back. No, well, I don't mind cracking a joke. So I've been an entrepreneur all of my life. Yeah, no, I've had all my life. I've been an entrepreneur, and I've had 5 surf stores and a surfboard factory. Used to produce about 30 boards a week for about 9 or 10 years with Bare Nature and Salty Dog, and then I switched gears. And when the GST came in 1999, and my first daughter was being born, and I thought, I need to make more money. I'm just being a donkey for the rag trade. So then I started a company called Property Gallery, which is still going today. And that was 20 years ago. Actually, 20 years ago that I started that company in 2001. And that's got over 3,000 properties under management. I've also got a hotel that I built in Indonesia in Bali called the Depan, a boutique resort. Currently on care and maintenance, sadly to say, because of COVID. The country is in... Yeah, but the locals are all right because they just grow rice and chase chickens around the paddock and pick mangoes off trees, and they're very simple people. I mean, my wife's Balinese, so I mean, I'm in direct contact with about 300 of my relatives up there, and they're all good. None of them have got COVID.
It's interesting.
No one in the village has got COVID, but people in Denpasar have. So I mean, there you go. I don't know, but that's about me, And so I started Safesoft in 2018 as a global solution. So I'd already been living offshore for a while. So we actually started it in Ireland as we intended to make it for the EU and Ireland and the US and Northern Hemisphere, but we figured that we would have to develop it in a beta test market. So we were developing initially a software for Property Gallery to resolve all of the problems of managing brokers, and keeping the compliance and all of the funds transfers and documents updates and the whole lot in one ecosystem.
Yep. So, just to streamline the operations.
Yeah, just like I did the conversation about me into the topic.
I like it. So there's a vast variety of things that are going on there. So from surfboards to property management to software, there's a bit of a change there. From Safesoft itself, that was obviously expanding on your understanding within the ecosystem. So tell us about how that first development went about in terms of the software piece before you went into VCEX.
Okay, so I mean, if you think about what you need to do to run a surf business, even then we had online presence 20 years ago with dial-up modems, and even then I could see that the presence of online sales was only going to get higher, and the GST removed all of the potential profit out of retail as it was then. So I've got quite a good long-term view of things in terms of I can see what's coming, because if that happens, it's just the thin edge of the wedge, right? And so GST killed retail, and then to further that destruction, the internet also killed strip shopping and shopping mall shopping. So we've all experienced that. We all buy online, and we all benefit from the prices online now. And we also benefit from the convenience of having it delivered to your door. So it's not like it was a stoppable event, and it was not like something that I was planning on just living with that type of erosion. It was hard enough in the rag trade and retail as it was. So I had some experience with software, but I could see that it was immature. Then I started property, and a fledgling startup by McGrath and Lockie Murdoch, McGrath Properties, came to me and said, "Oh, we've got this company, we're doing realestate.com, and we've put all these classifieds online." Basically took on the Sydney Morning Herald in Sydney and won. And so that was the transition from newspapers where people would read ads to find a listing, to find a property opening date where they could go and see something for sale. And I said, yeah, warmer, but not hot, but that realestate.com is going to go well. So I started kind of thinking about what I could do, but I was so busy making money, and I actually got into the BRW Fast 100 in 2006, and I was the 24th fastest growing company in Australia with Property Gallery. And like I said, it's it's an accolade. Hey, they rang me the next year and said, "Oh, you've got 14th this year." And I said, "I'm not going to Melbourne this year for the awards." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "I've got enough photocopy of Salesman calling me already."
Yeah.
So
get it.
Yeah, I mean, things like this give you good exposure because it's a story. Yeah. But things like that also give you good exposure and credibility. But I don't think you want to be writing it every year. It's probably good to do a follow up. Like, it's really good for the brethren, to be able to come in and say, "Hey, brothers and sisters, look at me now. I'm Elon Musk, and I used to go to your school." I mean, that sort of thing should happen if you do make it that far. You should have the Melanie Perkins of the world sort of going back to the people that helped them get exposure. But and like coming back to you guys and seeing how much you've grown and saying, "Oh yeah, look, I've grown a little bit too," and you guys will probably say, "I know."
So in terms of so we've got a software piece. It's ticking along, and that's all about operations, right? So you understood the market, you're seeing where things are going. Clearly, things are moving online, and you got a grip of that pretty quickly. In terms of when VEX came about, what was the problem you're solving? Because clearly you're solving problems on the way to get good traction here. So what is VEX? What is the problem that's actually solving?
So, well, let me just introduce you to how VEX came about, and then tell you the answer to that one. So it'll be a two-part answer. Part one. So I had all of these problems. So I was dyslexic at school. I left at 14. I went to Cranbrook from age 3, but couldn't cope with school because they didn't understand dyslexia. And so I just went and built things because I like building things. And I'd got all my tickets for construction, did high-rise, etc. Then had a little accident and thought, "Oh, this is bad. All I know is surfing. I've left school too early. I'll just start surf shops and build them." And so I built, building things, and I like vertically integrated businesses, which we call today an ecosystem. So basically I had all this sort of logic and ability of doing a vertically integrated business, manufacture and sell it, build it and sell it. And so the real estate sort of thing taught me a lot about issues with people that don't either have dyslexia or they have no knowledge of financial contracts or things to do with real estate. So I took the idea, if you like, which I'd had done up really nicely with a group of about 9 guys that I knew from industry that all believed in me. And we piled into this elevator in Steiner Price Paganen's law firm in the city and turned up to the boardroom in front of Roger Steiner Price and David Paganen, which they've never seen before, and said, "Here's a startup idea." And they'll go, "Wow, what a show." And I literally, and there's a lot of David, and I put everyone in a row so that I could know where all of the Davids were, etc. And then they just sat at the end and said, "It's like he's coordinating a whole function, like a show." and it was really funny. But anyway, I kind of I gave it to them. I said, "What do you think?" And and I kind of started to realize the kind of issues, but more so the pivot point for us for the real estate solution to VEX was when Pago said to me, So if you can wrangle all of these brokers, real estate brokers, they're like stray cats, and if you can get them all together and get all of the users to understand what they're talking about really quickly, why can't you do it with brokers? Because it's the same with AFSLs and raising capital. And I said, challenge accepted, Pago, I'm doing it. So
that was it.
So that's where we pivoted right in the beginning before, and so funnily enough, right now, we're actually just put on a crew of a full stack of developers for the PGOS Property Gallery operating software, and that's going to be launched on VEX as its own company and entity and make its way through all of the VEX processes to a listing at some point in time.
Very good.
Okay, let's explain what VEX is for everyone out there, just in simple layman's terms. So if anyone's listening, you've touched upon it, but explain the detail of what VEX is and what the end-to-end is in terms of getting your business up there, investment, etc.
So VEX is very user-centric. And when you consider an ecosystem, you've got to understand what users require to do their business or to function in the way that they are as a user. So let's just say, for example, an investor wants to find a good investment. And then you've got a company who wants to find a good investor. Now, a good investor is predominantly a qualified investor that has a 708 form. And all of a sudden you start to get a bit lost as a startup saying, what's a 708 form? Yeah.
708 form, yeah, I'm sure some people are asking.
Yeah, but I'll just say for the viewers, it's basically a sophisticated investor of someone that has a signed form from their accountant that says this person is allowed to invest in a company before it's listed in a retail market, which, for instance, the ASX is a retail market. So and the reason that they can work and invest on an ASX without being a sophisticated investor is because of a thing called continuous disclosure. So there's a lot of laws in place for listed public companies and less laws in place for unlisted public companies and less laws in place again for unlisted private companies. And every level of expansion that you get is another layer of levels and compliance that you need to know. So I'll give you, that's a bit of a touch on what you might need to know. So both the investor and the company startups need to know this, but they don't want to spend all their time raising capital. They want to use that capital and spend their time making their product. That's what we do.
Correct, yeah. People can be on that capital bandwagon, sort of running after capital, raising, just to fill in the void as they run out of money. So, yes, it can be challenging for some startups.
I would say it's challenging for all because it's time consuming. Yeah. I mean, VEX saves 90% of time and money. That's basically our kind of rough estimate of. It depends on how much you use it, how well you use it, and how effective your offer is. But ultimately, we get people coming into this system we've never met before that have sophisticated investor status and put money into companies on VEX, including our own, every day. I got 20... Sorry?
How long is VEX? How long have you been operational for?
Well, let's just say we started running in a beta 3 years ago. Well, probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a prototype for a year. Then it was a beta with companies on there since 2 years ago. And now we've got good examples like Infinite Blue Energy went from a 10-cent share, about 14 million market cap on VEX to a 70-cent share price public company in the last 9 months. And it just clicked $100 million today, actually, in market cap. And it still hasn't listed. And bear in mind that we actually do the compliance and user journey work for AFSLs and brokers, and we haven't even added that feature. We're doing that manually at the moment because if you say, where are you at? Well, that's all working really well and great, and this bit's beta test. Because anytime you do an update, it's a beta. Well, it's a live beta test, you know. I mean, you can't sandpit something that there's no sandbox for, right? You can't sandbox it's a live new. If you're doing something that's new, no one's got facilities for you. There's no playground for you to test it. So you've got to be really cautious. So when we do start, it'll be the classic sort of overnight success. We've only got 152 companies on there at the moment. We expect 10,000 in the next few years.
Okay. But 152 is a good starting point.
Well, for most people, that'd be a goal.
So I think that's,
for us, that's like, not bad.
Yeah. That's a good step.
I mean, they're all, and you've got freemium type levels as well as fully paid. So our, there's like indexes on VEX. So you've got your, at the moment, there's one marketplace and it's currently being split into 4. So we're going to go from a startup index, which is more your crowdfunding types. And then you go into your ESIC index, which is where investors can find tax incentives for 20% instant write-off and 100% capital gains tax-free, which for any of you 708 investors out there, check out vex.com.au and the ASIC index. It'll be up in about, 3 or 4 weeks. And so that...
it might be up by the time we release, so yes, it'll be there.
And then you've got the VEX pre-IPO, which has to be a public unlimited company on VEX that's already trading on VEX. And you can actually trade off-market on VEX with the approval of ASIC, which we organise for companies on there in that stage. So that's sort of, 1, 2, 3. 1 just supports people like basic operators like Cake, etc., but we do a lot more than them. But it also gives you the opportunity to move to ASIC and it moves to the pre-IPO. And we've also got appointed a new in-house chief legal counsel and CEO that are both ASX directors and both very experienced campaigners working for another registry in the past who are doing our VEX ASX index, which is basically a mirror of the ASX where we'll be having a brokerage to trade listed companies where you can just pay for them. So we're competing with everything and everyone. When you go to a full ecosystem, you really do change everything.
Yeah, it's about impacting the whole strategy of everything that happens in this space. So that sounds quite intriguing as to where you're going and what's sort of coming together. So,
well, it's distributed ledger technology without the blockchain requirement, because how can you distribute your ledger technology if nothing else is blockchain? It's like saying, it doesn't connect to anything.
Yeah, you're just running it for yourself.
Yeah, it's just a blockchain. But doesn't fit anything. You go, what's this plug for? You go, America, I think. You go, oh, well, chuck that in the bin.
Yeah.
We're the international adapter to blockchain as well as being the real world, because governments aren't just going to flip the switch and turn into blockchain. Look at the ASX. It's been trying for years.
No, they're not. They're not doing it at all. Yeah, it's not happening that quickly, is it? It's not going to happen that quickly. So it's all going to take a lot of time. Anything that's regulated has a lot of hoops to jump through. Is going to take a long time to actually get any technology change. So especially things that are working, right? So why change it if it's not broke? That's probably the mentality in those worlds.
Well, it's also a fear. Banks are very much also off cloud. I mean, my brother-in-law, David Stevens, is world-renowned database manager for banks, and he works in so many different countries, maintaining old language that people have lost manuals for, but they're still holding all their data in these vaults, and they're big banks. I mean, I'm not going to say which banks they are, but I'll just say that most of them are running. I had a meeting with the ASX years ago, and I said to them, they said, well, how can you do it? Like one of the friends of mine that works in a high level there. And I just said, well, it's just the way it works. You can't stop the internet with a walking stick. It's just not going to happen. As hard as you try to stick the walking stick into the spokes of the internet and cloud and the IoT of things, I mean, it ain't going to work.
It's too big.
It's going to suck that walking stick.
It's not going anywhere,
and
is
crush
it? Yes.
Yeah, those banks are just all, or even those old legacy things, they're just there because they work, and there's a lot of risk to introduce something new potentially as well. So they have to do all their checks and balances and change processes, systems, trainings, a lot of stuff to put in place.
That's the thing, Anthony. I mean, it's a bit like fueling an aeroplane full of passengers mid-flight, like they do fighter jets. I mean, at least with fighter jets, they've got an ejector seat and a parachute ready to go if it blows up.
Yeah.
But even then, it's risky.
Yeah. It's how much risk do they want to take on board at any point in time.
Yeah, and they say, what? We've got an A380 full of passengers that are trading, and you want to change it. You go, yeah, you should land first.
Yeah.
No, so
there's no time to land, is there?
Money never sleeps, that's for sure. I mean, and look, we've just come up with a solution. That's all. Simple. And
technology-wise, how did you go about developing that platform?
Well, the secret sauce, eh?
You don't need the secret sauce, just, whatever you're happy to tell us about your team.
Whatever you can share, mate.
No, look, I've got some really good people that I don't promote their names because they always get, people try to poach them all the time, even though they're paid better than, most companies would consider, and with the salary and share options. And ultimately, I have very talented people working with me that make this happen, and they have to be very fast at learning. Let's just say that, and they have a real passion for what we do, and so that stack that we have is always being tinkered with every day and added to and developed. And we've got some pretty big visions in terms of educating people to do the type of learning that isn't properly being taught at the moment in universities. So our idea of building Safesoft Limited as a core company that owns VEX and the PGOS software, which will be relaunched next year, will actually be a base for all the derivatives of our license, because the way that VEX works, it has to actually run in each country with an ASIC equivalent and a banking equivalent with their rules and laws and customs and ultimately currency, etc. So I'm flying up to the UAE with DFAT and Austrade in November on the 17th, and I'm back on the 14th, and I'm going to Saudi for the VEX KSA, talking to them about setting up a VEX Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I'm going to Abu Dhabi to set up VEX UAE, and also, there's more to do,
So I'll just say, Andrew, before you start. So did you outsource to another team, or did you bring in your own employees?
We employ.
We
do have a few outsourced in India now because of pace and time zone kind of drift. So we're trying to push a little bit of external, but they don't have source code. They don't use source code. They just use they get projects and they send them in, and we attach.
Okay,
so that's how you're managing it. In terms of, how did you first find your initial team members, team? How did you go about that journey? So if anyone's out there looking to build their team in the way that you're doing it, one, why did you decide to build it internally from the get-go? And then two, how did you start looking for teams?
Was it just through LinkedIn?
That's it. One, two. I'm very good at LinkedIn fishing.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we connected.
Yeah.
I don't know who was first though. If I was fishing or you were fishing.
Pre and post COVID, LinkedIn. Other than the people I already knew, I've met thousands of people in the last few years, and all through LinkedIn. Yeah, about 6. Go on.
All through LinkedIn. So if anyone's out there, start the hunt on LinkedIn, not on seek.com, but effectively is a tip.
Well, look, and ironically, a lot of people that are trying to befriend me are HR headhunters, and I go, you're the worst. They're the scourge of the industry, because, they're the ones going out trying to tell your staff that they can get paid more to have a job that they don't like, and then you lose a valued team member. I mean, I've never liked headhunters or HR companies because of that. I mean, I like human resources, and I like people that go out and offer a job and market it and do all of the resume vetting. But when it comes to headhunting, that's like short sellers.
It's like short sellers. Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they do about as much good to a company as a short seller does.
Yeah, no, I get your logic there. In terms of LinkedIn, let's dig in there because I like to understand your process a bit. Because to find good people, what did you approach? Was it just conversations? Did you look for skilled skill sets, or what did you look for in terms of the talent that you're actually approaching? How did you do that?
So my dad taught me something as a very young age to read between the lines. And it's funnily enough, I was watching The Simpsons last night, and Marge was telling Homer to read between the lines, and he said, "But why? It's all white."
Love it. Classic.
And I kind of thought about that, and when he told me that, because I remember when he told me, and he said, "You've got to read between the lines." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "Well, what they're saying and what are they really saying?" So I look at how long have you been working in your previous job? I don't like people that move jobs a lot. Yeah. Because that just proves no loyalty. So what's the point of me putting all of my effort in to train someone if they're going to leave and use that talent in another person's company? I want people to work with me for life. Most of them are staff in Property Gallery have been there for 20 years. My hotel staff, even though they're on annual leave or unpaid leave at the moment, they are actually they've been there for over 10 years. And all of my staff that started me with Safesoft are still there. And I expect in the next 20 years they'll all be there. And we'll probably have thousands of staff, all based in WA, building global software in an area of learning where we can teach the next generation what we're doing and give them a paid university course on campus. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, so you're going to move into some sort of training. Yeah, I'll read between the lines. Very cool. So you need to understand who you're looking for too. I think what I've begun doing is actually writing down the perfect person that you want to attract to a business, and then just writing in the detail and then looking. They generally come to you, but then you know what you're looking for. Sometimes people don't know exactly what they're looking for, which can be a big problem when actually hunting and bringing people into the team that's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, I let them tell me. So what I do is there's something about them that I'm quite interested in. Like the reason, I'll tell you how I found you guys. Someone that I met on LinkedIn, who I can't remember right now, sent me a podcast of Kurt from
Kurt Alexander. Yes.
Yeah.
He's Perth-based as well, I believe.
Is he?
Yeah, I believe he is. Is he? Or Queensland, actually.
Queensland.
Yeah, Brizzy. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Apologies.
Yeah. No, that's right. So anyway, I kind of enjoyed the interview. So I thought, this guy's kind of funny. You can't go to the Middle East with that voice. And I just thought, geez, you're funny, Kurt. So I kind of contacted him after that, and I contacted Anthony, and I said, hey, I'm keen on doing a podcast with you guys. Are you interested? And then I talked to Quick Safety, and I said, I like your company. Can I help you get some money and make you grow? And here I am today.
Well, there you go. So it's worked well for everybody in terms of Kurt. I know he was looking for some help. So fantastic if that's come off. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, then just reaching out, having a chat with David offline out of the podcast and just understanding what he's about and where he's come from. So it'd be a great story to tell.
Well, I mean, anyone watching this, all you have to do is go to LinkedIn and just message me. That's all you have to do. And then I'll say, yeah, sure. And then I'll either solve your problem or not. I mean, and generally I do.
Yep.
Because I'm a good problem solver.
Good.
And I've got a very good software, Margot, who operates the system for us. By the way, did I tell you the story about why we have an operating system called Margot?
Not online, so let's talk about that now for everyone to actually get a grip on that.
All right. So Pago said to us, can you do something that wrangles brokers? They're just like real estate agents. They can go rogue. And I said, yeah, fair enough. I can do that. And I mean, most of them are very compliant and good, but it's still a lot of work for brokers and AFSLs to manage. So it was more about the process. Let's just say the corrupt thing is just a movie reference and it's a joke. But so Margot is from Margot Robbie out of Wolf of Wall Street. And we thought, our system operator will be Marg Os, not Marg Ot, being operating system. So
Yes,
it's a bit
makes
of
sense.
a Marg
Bit of a
Os.
twist there.
Because what she's doing is maintaining compliance, and it's out of the... We actually even contacted Margot Robbie's parents, who are managers in Queensland, and we said, would she do the avatar for us? We'll pay you in shares. And at the time, our company wasn't worth enough, but she's an actress, so eventually she'll be our avatar and on the ads.
Keep that target.
She's Aussie, we're Aussie, and we're global. She's global. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Can make it work. No, I like
Probably
it.
make a lot of dollars, actually, I reckon.
You never know.
I might get back to it now. I'll put an ad out there. We'll cut up a slice of piece out of this episode and we'll share it out. You never know. See how that goes.
Yeah, mate, I'm sure it'll work. I mean, promotion is good,
Yeah.
Getting people to go and connect to vex.com.au, they can work out whether or not they're qualified. I mean, there is such a thing called the 2012 rule, and that means that companies that have staff or, employee share plans, they can actually invest if they're exempt for one reason or another under the ASIC rules. So occasionally people who are not 708s are entitled to buy shares. But there is a limited number of those people under specific circumstances, and it's very much limited to 20. So all we're doing is sort of a promoter, just like Wholesale Investors a promoter or Cap Vista's a promoter. But we do all this other work in the background, and we put these sort of guidelines up for everyone to kind of maintain their rules so they don't go off the edge. A bit like when you're driving around a mountain that doesn't have guide rails on a crap road, like in India or something on crazy truckers, show versus something that's in Australia with really nice big steel barriers and markers, and you say, oh, well, that's safe. It's still dangerous. Doesn't make it less dangerous. Doesn't put the onus on VEX to do it. It puts the onus on the company director still. But the responsibility of getting your shareholders or your family safely up the mountain in Mount Hotham in frozen, bad conditions or whatever, under pressure, is a lot easier when you've got all of these barriers and guidelines going. So if you compare the two from a road journey on a mountain that's very treacherous, it's no different for brokers, it's no different for investors, it's no different for company secretaries. It's more about the journey, and that's that user-centric journey that we offer all of the stakeholders. But we're a SaaS. We don't make the decisions. We just make it possible. We put the safety rails up.
Yep.
We put the new surface on the road. Yeah. And we say, these are the directions. Slow down because you're going to go off the edge.
So along your journey so far, what have you learnt from building software, from building surfboards to building software? Can you draw a bit of a difference between those? But there's a lot of similarities, I would imagine, because it's process driven and just understanding processes. And I think there can be some more complicated processes, but there's still complications in any business.
Well, what could you learn about building the software that would help someone listening who's about to start?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you just the first comparison, being that my surf store closed in 1999. Well, I sold them, the 5 of them. I didn't close, but I was out of there. Before 1999, I was in the shaping bay at Rusty Surfboards in Osborne Park with a 5-axis CNC machine, getting boards made by Mick Button, a friend of mine, is one of the directors there, and Rod Hart, who's one of the early directors of Safesoft, was the founding director of Rusty Surfboards. So I've had some captains of industry from the surf industry involved in what I do. So they've all got different skills and talents. So it's not just people that I've met and know, like Roger Steinerprice and David Paganin and Rod Hart from Rusty but these journeys that you get, you've got to draw on all of your experience, all of your talent base, all of your knowledge, and you can get as much as you can. And always remember the ABC. always be closing.
It's all about selling.
Always be closing. So anyway, the
Yeah.
CNC machine back in the 90s was making a surfboard that used to take hours in minutes on a computer program. And I actually have a program that's a board that everyone really liked. And so I'd put in my surf store, I'd come in for a surf and I'd put it on the rack because I didn't want the board to get all the wax melted in the car, right? And so I'd run in, I'd been for a surf in the morning, going to work, and they come up and go, how much is this? I go, it's off for sale, it's my board. And everyone kept on buying my boards because it was just, and so, but I didn't have a CNC machine and Rusty did, right? So I had to hand shape them. But, as evolution happened, software evolved into the surf industry and you could buy shaped blanks. So you could give them your program and they would ship them to you with what we call the tusks, which are it comes in a big blown blank of foam, and then the machine does everything, and it leaves a little bit of foam on either end of the board, and you can snap them off, and you just give it a light sand, and off you go to the glassing bay and spray it up and put your fins in, and off you go for a surf. So computer design has been going on for ages, and it's just getting better and more accessible through that process. Whether it's surfing, every industry can give you an example like that. That's just my one.
It's all evolving.
But I think what I would say
sense.
is, for anyone that's starting up, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, if you're young, talk to your dad's, mum's friends, if you're mature enough and you've been in business all your life, talk to your customers, your clients, your friends, your kind of the experts in the industry, and read between the lines, look at the value. That's what I would do.
It is all about, it seems like you're very connected, and having 2,000 conversations on LinkedIn over the past X years makes a lot of sense that you are all about communication. And I think that's one good tip for anybody that's looking to do something. Get connected with the community, understand the industry, understand the challenges, and read between the lines. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy it as well. I think that's connecting with you guys and the fact that you reach out and do this for people is part of your business, but it's also a free service to all people. So for me to be a part of that, I hope that I've helped your objective of giving people the ability to be enthusiastic. So I'm actually, there's a publisher that's contacted me in the last few months, and they're writing a book about my life at the moment. And it's called it's called In the Desert. Because I've been undercapitalized so many times. Like everything I've started, I've been undercapitalized.
So what? And that's a good question to dive to. What drives you, David? Every day, why do you get up and do what you do and keep looking to solve problems? What is it about that?
So why does every day like Christmas trying to figure out what's in that box under the tree? Because I want to know what's in the box under the tree. I'm going I can't open it tonight, but tomorrow when I get up, I get to open another box. No. What's in the box under the tree tomorrow?
I like that. That mindset, I think it's pretty awesome to have a mindset like that around what's in the box, because people can see it as challenges and adversity, but having a box and a present in front of you makes a lot of sense because, we can all take good from everything that comes thrown at us, really.
It doesn't matter what's in the box. It's what you make. It's what's between the lines that's in the box. It makes, even whatever's written on the box. You give a kid a present and they play with the box. The box was better than the...
Yes,
there you go.
I love the box, mate.
What's in the box, and it doesn't matter what's in the box. Whatever's in the box, it's going to be... Here's the thing. Yes. If there's not a box, find a box. If I get up in the morning, I go, oh, good, I get to look for it. It's like a treasure hunt now. I go, great. I have to find something. And how's this? I don't even know what I'm looking for.
Always looking for something.
Yeah. That's classic. No, I love the mindset. I think people can take a lot away from that. Just out of this conversation, you can hear that coming down the line as to your energy, your enthusiasm, and you're just that positive attitude to do something new and take on anything. Because it seems like you're the take on anything challenge type guy. Which is pretty cool.
The thing is, anyone can take on anything if they just accept that they can. And here's the thing. I'm not like going to go base jumping. I can guarantee you that. I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
So I know my limitations, and I also play to my own strengths, and I do things that I like doing. I only do jobs that I love, and I'll only do them until I love them. And as soon as I don't love them anymore, I can't do it anymore, because why would you do something that you didn't enjoy?
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of people in the world do something they don't enjoy.
But that's because they're not looking for what's in the box.
No, they're just thinking, oh shit, another box.
No, but even worse, they say, I have to go to the box and unwrap it and see what's in there for me today. And then, it's not what I wanted. And I just think, wow, anything is possible, and you can make anything possible as long as you're willing to look for it. And all you have to do is know what you want. Most people don't know what they want.
Yep.
Yeah, you ask a lot of people that have no idea what they want. And I'll lean on that question there. What's the vision? What's the 5-10 year plan? Where are you going, David? What's the direction you're heading down? Where do you want to be?
I'm already where I want to be. Like, I'm there. I'm already there. I mean, how many Vegemite sandwiches can you eat?
My son can eat plenty, mate. That's all he eats. He's a 4-year-old that lives on Vegemite sandwiches, effectively.
He beat his own record by 4 hot dogs and ate 76 hot dogs in America last night. Did you see that?
Yeah.
But you know what's even more amazing? That he actually forced 26 more down to beat the nearest competitor and his own record. And I'm thinking, it's not really worth the heart attack or whatever it is that's going to happen. I mean, he already won. He could have stopped and sort of watched them eat for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, he had that drive to keep going.
Well, he's just, I don't know what's for him. He knows what's in the box. It's hot dogs. And there's a lot of them. He just wants to get to 77 or 78, And I'm just thinking, oh, God. I mean, imagine how much would you not want to eat a hot dog after that?
I think a year's worth of hot dogs or lifetime's
he's a competitive eater. He probably does it every month. Yeah. Like, it's just, that's his thing. Yeah, he'd never eat a hot dog in his own time.
I'm off duty. You go, here, mate, can you do it? You go, no, I'm off duty. No hot dogs.
It's like a barber that won't cut their family's hair. No, cut to the shop, otherwise I won't cut it.
Yeah, and it's funny that, I mean, I think that mindset of I'm really passionate about getting a good haircut, so I'll only do it in my environment where I've got all of the structure. But that's a professional, I mean, you'll often see, like you said to me, come into this studio, Riverside, which is a great concept, and I love the way that they do what they do. And I'm going to join up and see if we can maybe organise to add some podcast type things for startups to help them, just to.
It's a great way to share, and
it's a good one, but it's more on the line of tell people about your pitch, not about your product and a dev story. Okay. But yours is a very different topic. So I can say that Riverside, which I believe that's the name of the software that we're using, is pretty good. I mean, and I think it's always good to give back to those that are giving to you. So always promote people around you that help you. Always give back. When you're closing, don't just close for yourself. Close for everyone.
Good tip there.
Yeah, and it's a great tip, and it's particularly why we started the DevReady Podcast. Is about giving back to the community and just sharing people's stories, people's journeys, take the learnings, and just if one person gets something out of it and they become that unicorn, well done. And I think that's something we can share those stories just to protect people on the journey, because it is a tough one. Building tech can be tough. It can be challenging in some veins, and we had plenty of stories on the channel where people talk about there are hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars that they spent building their own tech, and we just like sharing those stories because it is a challenging one in this space. But any business is, in effect, when you're starting something new, it is always difficult to get off the ground and get moving, which is who you're helping as well through VCEX.
Yeah, look, I think that commercial experience is something that you just can't buy. You can't really read it. You can read as much as you like, and you can get some sort of a vibe. You can watch as many podcasts as you want, again, but ultimately you've just got to get your hands dirty and do the work, You've got to dig in. And ultimately, I think that what most investors look for, what sort of experience has the board got, the management, because you can easily pivot, right?
Yeah, as long as you've got enough experience to see what's coming and decide that, then yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can see what's coming, that's the thing. And I've got to say, I'm always up on the lookout for icebergs.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, you need to be looking out because you can get, that's one thing. If you're in business, you can focus on just the doing and the getting stuff done and just forget about what's happening around you. And then 5 years go by and you're still doing the same thing and everyone's left you behind and there is no business left. So that can be something that happens to a lot of businesses out there if they're not looking out into industry, what's happening, what's changing and what's evolving. I'll tell a quick story around, there was a greyhound business next to us in one of our offices. They went broke because no one wanted to buy their magazine anymore.
The Greyhound Form Guide on paper.
Yeah, Greyhound Form Guide on paper.
Ironically, who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
I mean,
but they just didn't have any foresight just to look forward.
I don't suffer fools easily, and I'm very honest with people because if I can tell them bluntly to their face that they're just being idiotic and they should give up and they're having a massive Kodak moment, then I've helped them, and I don't care if they shoot the messenger because at least they won't try and impose their stupidity on me anymore. So I'll just say, that's a dumb idea. Everyone is saying that it's cruel to race greyhounds. They're being, it's just a bad thing. And apart from that, it's in a paperback magazine. and the people that are racing probably can't even read anyway. So, I mean, why, it's just, and Kodak, they invented the digital camera and kept it a secret for 25 years and then they died 26 years later. Because everyone went and replaced film with digital photos. They could have been,
They could have owned that space, but they chose not to protect the film. But that's another story. We won't get into that. David, been a pleasure having a conversation with you. Just from my perspective, just share out links. You've shared it through the podcast, but anyone wants to find out about you and also VCEX, how might they get access to that?
Look, the easiest one is David Pillinger Safesoft or VCEX, VCEX.com.au.
Okay, perfect.
And either way, you'll either find companies that are raising capital, or you can put your company on VCEX by just following the link straight in, raise capital. Click on that and you put your company in. And we'll kind of go from there. You'll get a call from me if you do that. If you go to LinkedIn, you'll be able to get a copy of my profile and people can read that, and my contact details are there also. And obviously you can message directly through that.
And he loves having a chat. So, David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David, for that.
We really appreciate you coming out DevReady Podcast and sharing your journey. And there's plenty there and a couple of good takeaways. And enjoy your unwrapping tomorrow's present. So hopefully you enjoy today's.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the interview, Andrew and Anthony. Thanks very much.
Right.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.